They came for a break, stayed for the secrets. That's the kind of understated but compelling hook that Urshka Jukic's 2025 drama Little Trouble Girls delivers with a quiet intensity. At its core, this film is a nuanced exploration of youth, faith, and the complex push-pull of first love, set against the rigid backdrop of a Catholic school choir retreat. Jukic, known for her keen eye on intimate storytelling, co-writes and directs this piece, bringing together a diverse writing team to weave a layered narrative about attraction, loyalty, and doubt. What makes Little Trouble Girls stand out in the crowded indie drama space isn't just its emotional stakes, but the way it visually and thematically captures the tension simmering beneath a seemingly innocent setting. Over the next 12 minutes, we'll break down how the film's craft works to deliver something both delicate and provocative. The premise of Little Trouble Girls is straightforward but loaded. 16-year-old Lucia joins the Catholic school choir, befriends the more senior Anna Maria, and then finds her feelings complicated by an outsider, a restoration worker, during a choir retreat. The film slots neatly into the drama and romance genres, but it's the specificity of its milieu, a close-knit religious community, that gives it texture. Released in 2025, it arrives amid a wave of indie films focusing on adolescent identity and spiritual questioning, but with a distinctly Eastern European sensibility, given its cast and setting. It's not a broad mainstream release, but rather a festival and streaming circuit player, targeting audiences who appreciate slow-burn emotional narratives and character-driven stories rather than conventional romantic plots or coming-of-age cliches. Urshka Jukic's direction here is subtle but deliberate. Known for intimate framing and a preference for naturalistic performances, she tends to rely on tight, often static shots that capture the emotional undercurrents in her characters' expressions rather than broad gestures. The cinematography leans on muted palettes, soft grays and blues that evoke the restrained atmosphere of the school and its religious context, punctuated by warmer tones during moments of personal revelation or tension. Camera movements are measured, often lingering just enough to create unease or introspection without overstaying their welcome. Editing is restrained, favoring longer takes over quick cuts, which reinforces the slow unraveling of relationships and self-discovery. This style suits the drama's quiet intensity, allowing tension to build organically rather than through obvious cinematic manipulation. The way Jukic captures drama and tension is rooted in visual contrasts. The rigid order of the choir and school routines versus the unpredictability of adolescent desire and doubt. Scenes involving the restoration worker, for example, are shot with more handheld, intimate camera work, signaling disruption to the controlled environment. The director's team of 8 writers suggests a layered script that balances multiple perspectives, a necessity when dealing with intertwined themes of faith, attraction, and friendship. Overall, the direction and visual style create a contemplative mood that invites viewers to engage deeply with the characters' internal struggles, rather than rely on overt narrative twists. On the performance front, Little Trouble Girls is anchored by Yara Sofia Ostan as Lucia and Mina Schweiger as Anna Maria. Both actresses come from a strong background in regional cinema and theater, known for their ability to convey subtle emotional shifts without resorting to melodrama. Their chemistry is reportedly the film's beating heart, a believable portrayal of adolescent friendship tinged with the complexity of emerging romantic feelings. Supporting cast members like Sasha Tabakovic and Natasha Berger add texture, embodying the community and authority figures that frame the girls' world. Early festival buzz praises the ensemble's naturalism and restrained expressiveness, which keeps the drama grounded and avoids the trap of overwrought performances common in coming-of-age tales. The ensemble's presence is critical because the film's power lies not just in its leads, but in the communal pressures that shape their choices. Stasha Popovich and Mateja Sturley, for instance, represent voices within the school's hierarchy. Their interactions with the protagonists underscoring themes of control and expectation. The cast's layered dynamic supports the film's exploration of tension between personal desire and social or religious obligation. Given the depth of the writing team and the cast's pedigree, audiences can expect performances that feel lived in and authentic, helping to elevate what might otherwise be a straightforward romance into a rich character study. Writing-wise, the film appears to lean into a classic three-act structure centered on Lucia's journey, from newcomer to conflicted participant in a tightly knit world. The themes are clear: faith challenged by doubt, friendship tested by jealousy or misunderstanding, and the bittersweet awakening to desire. The ensemble of writers, including Jukic herself and contributors like Serjan Koljevic and Ildiko Enyedi, suggests a script that balances cultural specificity with universal themes. The choir retreat setting is a clever narrative device, isolating characters physically and emotionally to heighten tension. Without spoiling specifics, the story likely unfolds through a series of quiet confrontations and moments of introspection rather than dramatic climaxes, consistent with its indie drama classification. The film's thematic core grapples with the fragility of youth caught between tradition and change. It's about the secrets people keep from themselves and others, and how those secrets reshape relationships. The tension between Lucia and Anna Maria over the restoration worker symbolizes larger conflicts around identity and belonging. The religious context amplifies this, as faith is not just a backdrop, but an active force influencing choices and moral dilemmas. The writing's strength is in its subtlety. It doesn't preach or dramatize faith struggles, but presents them as lived experience, layered and often ambiguous. Little Trouble Girls isn't part of a franchise, but it shares DNA with films like Celine Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire or Lucas Dante's Close, intimate, character-driven explorations of youth and desire set against restrictive environments. Compared to more spectacle-driven romantic dramas, Jukic's film prioritizes emotional realism and slow-building tension over plot twists or flashy aesthetics for audiences familiar with indie European cinema. It fits comfortably within a tradition of films focused on personal awakening and the silent complexities of relationships. It also contrasts with mainstream teen dramas by eschewing melodrama and instead favoring restraint and nuance. The comparison to other indie romances highlights what Little Trouble Girls offers: a focus on the emotional landscape rather than external conflict. It's not about the spectacle of romance, but the quiet unraveling of certainty. The film's pacing and style demand patience, rewarding viewers who appreciate mood and character over fast narrative beats. For those expecting conventional coming-of-age tropes or clear-cut resolutions, it might feel slow or opaque. But its strength lies in how it captures the uneasy balance between innocence and experience, faith and doubt, friendship and desire. So who is this film for? Little Trouble Girls will resonate most with viewers who seek thoughtful, introspective dramas centered on youth and identity, especially those interested in stories set within religious or cultural frameworks. Fans of European art-house cinema and character-driven narratives will find much to appreciate here. However, viewers looking for conventional romance, clear plot resolutions, or fast-paced storytelling might find it challenging. The film's strengths are its performances, its atmospheric direction, and its thematic subtlety. Possible weaknesses could be its deliberate pacing and the ambiguity that may leave some craving more narrative payoff. Overall, it's a watch-worthy title for those invested in nuanced emotional storytelling. In sum, Little Trouble Girls is a quietly powerful film that uses the microcosm of a Catholic school choir retreat to explore universal themes of attraction, faith, and friendship. Urška Jukic's direction and the ensemble's performances create a mood of restrained tension that lingers beyond the runtime. It's a film that demands emotional engagement and rewards patience, offering a slow-burning portrayal of adolescence's complexities. For viewers ready to dive into a nuanced indie drama, it's a worthy addition to 2025's cinematic landscape. For those expecting more overt drama or fast-moving romance, it might require recalibrated expectations. They came for a break, stayed for the secrets. Little Trouble Girls doesn't shout its truths, but whispers them, inviting you to listen closely. If you're drawn to films that reveal their depths slowly and thoughtfully, this one deserves your attention. Thanks for watching Cut to Reel. If you want more sharp, clear-eyed film analysis, you know where to find us. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your reels cutting sharp. Thanks for watching Cut to Reel. I'll see you next time for another look beneath the surface of cinema's best.